The 50 Podcast.
50 Podcast.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the 50 Podcast. It's your host, Haley. And today we are here with Alyssa. Alyssa is a kindergarten teacher, follower of Christ. She is a police widow due to her husband, Jeremy LaBonte, being tragically taken in the line of duty. Alyssa and Jeremy knew each other since the fifth grade and really never were apart since getting married in 2022. Alyssa finds healing in connecting with other widows who are navigating healing, love, and grief. So I want to preface this interview by saying that it might be really emotional or a trigger warning for some. Um, and I mostly just want to respect you, Alyssa, and your family, and obviously Jeremy's family. So again, if there's anything that you don't want to answer, don't want to dive deep into, we do not, absolutely do not have to. And I want to just thank you again for being so strong and sharing this story. No, it's not easy, but it helps so many people. Um, Unfortunately, there are a lot of widows and they really resonate with your story. And then other police wives, just knowing that when they kiss their husband goodbye, it may not be, it may be the last time. And it's just a career where we all connect in general. So again, I'm really thankful for you sharing these stories of you and Jeremy. So I'm excited to learn more about him.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on here, and I'm honored that I get to share his story.
Yeah. I want people to learn more about, it's hard because when this kind of stuff happens, you see a few pictures of them in uniform and you hear a quote, oh, they were just a great, nice guy, but you don't really get to learn like who they are as a human and outside the uniform and just like more about just them.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to learn that about Jeremy. So for our listeners, who don't know who you are or who Jeremy is, which they will after this, give us a quick, just very short, because we have a million questions, but bio about maybe you. And we will peel back the layers as we dive deeper in all things. So you have
Okay.
the floor.
So I'm Alyssa. I grew up in Douglasville, Georgia. I currently live in Ackworth, Georgia, which is about 40 minutes north of Atlanta. Um, I met Jeremy in the fifth grade. We went to a super small private Christian school. And when I say small, I mean kindergarten to 12th grade, there were literally like 150 kids, maybe. So super small. Our graduating class had like 16 kids. So he grew up there. His mom was a teacher there. They were super involved in the church, connected to our school. Um, he started going there in kindergarten, and then in fifth grade, we were kind of like, I don't want to say friends, just like classmates. He would tease me all the time in fifth and sixth grade, which I guess at that age I kind of should have caught on, like, oh, I think this little kid likes
He's
me.
flirty.
Yes. And so then we just kept being friends and classmates. And then by seventh grade, when we came back to school in August on his 12th birthday, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And he approached me at our lockers and just said, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And he just ran away, and we literally didn't talk for the rest of the day at school. Like, we're in all the same classes together, but we would just like look at each other, kind of get butterflies in our stomachs. But we really didn't start talking. Like, we'd go home and immediately text each other, but wouldn't talk all day at school. And we didn't start talking until our art teacher forced us to sit next to each other in class. And she was like, okay, y'all are boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever that means at this middle school age, but y'all are supposed to talk. So, after that, we were kind of just inseparable. We went through all of the rest of middle school and high school together. It was very typical relationship. He was a football player and I was a cheerleader. all our friend groups were intertwined, and yeah, and then we graduated in 2018 from high school, and we followed each other to college. We went to Georgia State University, which is in downtown Atlanta.
That's fun.
Yeah. And he majored in criminal justice, and I majored in early childhood education. And I feel like college is where he really started to, sorry, am I going like too down a,
No, you're good. You're good.
okay.
No, I love it.
I just want to make sure. I feel like in college, he always kind of had a love for law enforcement. He'd even talk about it in high school, and he kind of went back and forth between going into law enforcement and the military. And once we graduated high school, I kind of was just straight up with him. I was like, I'm not the long distance type of gal. So if you're gonna do the whole military thing, it's not for me. And he was like, "Well, I'm not gonna lie, I see a future with you, and that's kind of what I need to know to kind of go more of the police route." Um, so he started working overnight security at our college to kind of get that background experience, and he graduated a year early, and in 2021 he asked me to marry him. And then once I graduated in 2022 in May, we got married in July. And tomorrow is actually our anniversary.
I saw that. I saw that you posted tomorrow's your anniversary. So one of my first questions was what inspired Jeremy to become a police officer? I mean, did you know, or was he just like, this is just like a calling? Because I feel
Yeah.
like most of us don't really like know why,
Hmm.
but we just do it.
Yeah. I did ask him in college, especially when all this stuff started happening during the pandemic and it was just craziness.
Yeah, because
Like,
that's the time he was in school doing criminal
yeah.
justice. Yeah.
Mhm. And I was like, why on earth do you want to do this? There's a million other jobs. And he was like, I cannot picture myself doing anything else, and I'll never forget that he just was kinda like, "I wanna leave wherever I am a better place," and, like, he truly just wanted to help people, and he was like, "Police officers get such a bad rep that that's not what he wanted people to see," and he was like, "I know I can't reach everybody, but if I can just reach a small few."
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And then he did criminal justice. He did the security job. You guys get married. He's in the force for a few years. Did he have pushback from like friends or family when he was choosing this career? Like, were his parents like, just don't do it? Or I know
I
he has
feel
this
like
sister, or were they like
yeah.
supportive?
His family has always been really supportive. Of course, his parents, more his mom was just like any mom, just that
Yeah.
worry and anxiety, but she wasn't gonna keep him from following his dream. And his little sister, especially, has always supported him because she also wants to be an officer. And so that's kind of
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
yeah, they even did a ride along together, and I feel like their bond like really grew over that.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like my dad's a police officer, so I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons I got into it. But when you're the first in the family, it is a scary thing. It is like your parents and your family are like it's very very proud, but it is, of course, you have those fears.
Mhm.
Um so how did you navigate the early stages of his career like in your relationship and in your marriage because being a police wife is hard. Like what was he working midnights? Like how did that go for you guys?
Yeah, so he worked night shift all of our marriage. So we pretty much worked opposite. He worked 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then obviously I'm a teacher, so I'd go in the morning. I'd say at first I was really anxious all the time, just thinking about him at night. I'd call him like multiple times on his shift at night and just check in on him like I could do anything. But I feel like after a year or so, just like most things, you kind of just like get in your groove and start to kind of get used to things and get in your routine. Um, but I still would regularly, when he'd leave, I'd always make sure to kiss him goodbye, and I would obviously pray for him every night. And then on my drive home, I mean, on my drive to work in the morning, I would thank God every day that he was home in the bed. So, but yeah,
Being a police wife is hard enough because of the danger, but
yeah,
I think people don't realize like just how hard it is with the scheduling and
yeah,
I got to stay overtime
yeah.
and if you're not a police officer yourself, you're working day shifts, you're working opposite schedules. So I'm sure there was not a lot to navigate early. You're just getting married, you're a brand new couple, and your husband is a cop.
Mhm. It was a lot of getting used to, like, celebrating birthdays, holidays,
Different
anniversaries
days.
or yes,
Yeah.
or planning our family vacations a year in advance because he'd have to take off and we'd have to coordinate that.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, of course, he loved to work extra jobs too, so then we gotta tie all that in.
'Cause, you're young and new in your marriage, so he's probably picking up shifts, make extra money. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I know it. So can you tell us more about Jeremy as a person and what he liked and
Yeah.
how others would describe him?
Um, I feel like he was like almost a quiet joy and light in the room. He was never one to bring the center of attention to him. He would more like try to make sure everybody in the room felt seen. So if someone wasn't being talked to, he'd go and talk to them. And I feel like he was just so easygoing all the time, which is probably why we fit so well together because I'm not so easygoing. And he just would be go with the flow. He really loved to work out, and that was something in high school he got really into and just kinda stuck with it. He always said that, he really had to work out just so he could keep eating my good food and not so he could
There
get
you go.
but so he could, like, maintain. And he also collected bourbon, which was
I
a big
saw that.
yes, yeah, so I'm actually in his bourbon room, and it's a whole thing that he has at all of 24.
Oh my god. So he loved his bourbon.
Yes, and he would not even like he's finishing these bottles or anything, but pour the tiniest little bit and really just sniff on it for hours and say like, "I smell old crayons, I smell barbecue," and I'm like, "I smell alcohol, but okay."
Yeah, I am not a bourbon person, that's
Right,
for
no,
sure.
me either. Um, and
You guys had a dog too, right?
yes, we do. We got a puppy a little over a year ago, and he wanted a golden doodle forever, and we didn't have a house yet, and then when we finally got a house he was like, "Okay, now we're ready to get a puppy." So we got one and we named him Dude. So it's DOOD because since he's a doodle, and one of Jeremy's favorite gym guys and YouTubers named his golden doodle that, and it just has kind of stuck with him. So, oh, and he's
And
like,
there
"Yeah,
he is.
let me make myself see." Yeah,
Love it. I love it. Because like looking at your pictures, obviously he looks like just a very happy guy. Like
yeah,
his smile is his whole face.
yeah.
Like he just seems like just like you said, like a light in the room. Like I can tell just by the photos. Just like a happy guy.
I like rarely ever saw him upset or mad, and I even would ask him to show me his police voice or like talk in it because I was like, I can't picture you being serious and angry
Yeah,
at work.
yeah, I can't picture you yelling at someone and being
Yes.
mean. Sounds like he really rooted for the underdogs a lot.
Yes.
And that's like the best kind of police officers, the ones who care about the people who truly need our help.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do you have any advice for police wives who are starting families or entering a marriage with a police officer?
I would say don't let the stress and anxiety take away from the moments you're living in because even though it's scary, that's what they want to be doing. And at the end of the day, it's out of your control. And I know that's easier said than done, but there's so many things that we did still get to do, and, like, we figured out how to work his schedule around our lives, and there's still so much life to be lived, and I just think it's important to soak up all those moments.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because you can get really wrapped up in, like, he's working today or he has to work this extra shift and really focusing on that instead of being like, "We get this random Tuesday off together. Let's, like, make the best of it," you
Right.
know?
That's what we started having date nights on, like, random weekdays, and it
Yeah,
turned out to be the best. Yeah.
and those are the best.
Yeah.
So, we are gonna talk now about February 7th, 2025.
Okay.
If you can remember, tell us about the morning of February 7th and what your day began like.
So, Jeremy was off the previous night. So he was home. I remember getting ready. He was just sleeping because obviously he had to balance out going in later that afternoon.
Yeah.
He was fast asleep while I was getting ready for work. I do remember kissing him bye while he was sleeping. And then I went to work and it was just a regular day. I remember texting with him throughout the day, just checking in on random things. I think I even like texted him, "Can you put the clothes in the dryer?" or something. And then I got off work that day, and typically we would see each other once I got home for like 5 or 10 minutes, because of traffic. But that day I actually had to run some errands and didn't get to come home, and that's kind of been like something I've been battling with.
I
But
understand, yeah.
yeah, I called him on my way home, and we talked for a while, and then I actually was going to drop off my resume somewhere, and it was at a different school, and I called him for a second time after leaving that school because I just was so excited about how much I loved it there. And I was like, oh, he's on his way to work. Maybe I shouldn't bother him. And then I said, I'm too excited. I'm going to call him. And I'm to this day so thankful that I did. And I
Yeah,
told him all about how much I loved it there. And he was really excited. And then he told me he gave me a whole grocery list over the phone. I remember that was like one of the last things we talked about, because the Super Bowl was supposed to be or was that weekend. So he was
oh,
like,
right.
We want to have a Super Bowl party at work with the guys. Can you make this stuff?" And I was like, "Okay, text me what you need." Um, and he also had left for work early that day because I had asked him to drop off a package for me, which kind of like goes into the story because days after he passed, I asked him to return the package to the sender, and he accidentally sent it back to me. So it kind of gave me the little laugh that I needed deep
Oh,
funeral planning, and it showed back up at the house, and I was like,
aw.
"Thanks, Sherry." Um,
Aw, I love
but
that.
I came home that afternoon. He was already at work. I remember taking a nap, and I started after my nap started packing because we were supposed to leave to we were going to London and Italy the next weekend.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and
Wow.
we were going with both my all my parents, and my aunt and uncle, and it was a trip we had been planning forever. So I remember packing, and this was like 10 o'clock at night, and I get a text from one of my longtime elementary friends that I hadn't talked to in years. And she said, "Hey, I just saw the news that something happened in Roswell. Is Jeremy working?" And I had no idea. I wasn't on my phone or anything. And so I texted back and I said, "Yeah, he's working, but I'm sure he's okay. Thanks for letting me know." So then after that, I texted him and I just said, "Hey, wanted to check in. Um, People are texting me." And he didn't respond. And typically he's like pretty quick to respond at work, so I did start to get a little worried, but I also know that when things go down, every officer goes to the call when it's really big or like
Right, right, and you didn't have your
yeah.
phone.
So I was um trying to like calm myself down with that thought. And then more and more people kept texting me about it and I sent it to my parents. I said, I really haven't heard from him. Should I be worried? Um and I ended up reading more about the article and read the location and I was like, let me check his location. And of
Oh
course
gosh.
he's there, but I still in the back of my head was like, okay, he's probably there to help out.
Yeah.
Um, so my mom and stepdad called me. They live out in Kansas, so they're not here, but my stepdad was kind of like, I texted him too. I haven't heard from him and I just have this really bad feeling. And
Oh my god.
kind of said, Alyssa, you need to call the police department and check in on him because if he's not answering you, just say, I'm his wife. I just want to make sure he's okay. And I was like, no, I'm not going to call him. They're so busy. I'm not going to bother them with that. And so I didn't. And I hung up with my mom. I told them I'd keep them updated. Well, it turns out my mom was so impatient, she ended up calling the
Oh
police.
wow. Oh wow.
Um, my sister said she kind of was like, "Hey, I'm Jeremy's mother-in-law. I just need to check on him." And the dispatch lady was like, "Ma'am, are you not with your daughter right now?" And my mom said, "No, what do you mean? I'm in Kansas." And she said, "The chief's at your daughter's house right now," like as we were speaking. And so the minute I hung up with them, I got another phone call and it was from a number I didn't know. So I picked it up and it was the sergeant and he's also kind of been like our liaison. He's taking care of us through everything and
So you
he,
knew him.
yeah, he and
Okay.
Jeremy were very close. He spoke at the
Okay.
funeral. He's just been amazing, but I didn't have his number at the time and
Right.
instantly when the phone rang I kind of knew like who else is going to be calling me at 11:30 at night and so I picked up
One of
and
his coworkers or something, you're
yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
So I picked up and he said, "Hey, this is Sergeant Wolfson. Can you step outside?" And my heart just like instantly dropped. And I opened the door and the chief was there. And like two other officers and even the mayor of Roswell came and they didn't even say anything because I immediately like was hyperventilating. I couldn't get the words out. And then they kind of like took me inside and sat me down. And the first thing I asked was just, where is he? Because um, I guess it didn't register with me when I got the article that it said the officer had died. Like, I just thought he had been shot and he's in the hospital.
So
So
so there was an article that the officer had died before you even knew what had
yeah,
happened.
so that was the first one that my friend had sent me a couple
Oh my god.
and all it
Okay.
said was Roswell officer shot and killed. And
Oh my
it
god.
didn't obviously they didn't release any information because they had to talk to the family.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
but I guess just with shock and everything, I didn't even remember that I had read that an officer had been killed. So I was like, where is he? And they said at the hospital. And so in my mind, I'm still kind of thinking he's um like on a lifeline or
Right, right. No,
so I just
100%.
said, I want to see him. And I'm at this point, it's almost midnight. I'm in my pajamas. So I told them I needed to put some clothes on. They even like waited outside the door, just making sure I was okay. And I guess let me back up. They had been trying to call Jeremy's parents, but they sleep with their phone on do not disturb, but unless it's for one of us kids, so they hadn't been able to reach them. So I had been texting with Jeremy's younger sister earlier, and she kind of said, keep me updated on what happens. And I knew she was awake and she lives with them. So I called her and they broke the news to Jeremy's parents and they like immediately got in the car. The police department was going to send police cars for them, but
Yeah.
they I
Too
don't
late. Yeah.
for wanting to wait and they live, like, way out in the country, so they were like, "We're coming now."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And, um, they asked if there's anyone they could call for me, so I immediately called my dad. He lives about 45 minutes away, and he jumped in the car. I remember he came with, like, one of his pant legs up, with his pajama pants on, and just rushed in through the door, and then, um, I remember the chief also told me, "Try not to call anybody that's by themselves," like, he knew I wanted to tell my family members and stuff, but, like,
Yeah.
somebody that could be sorry if that's my lawn man decided to just randomly show up, if you can hear
No,
that.
you're okay. You're okay.
Dude, dude, sorry.
You're okay.
It's okay. Um, let me close this window really quick so he can
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. Um, but oh, they didn't want me to really call anybody so that they wouldn't be alone, and,
Right.
um, I remember I ended up going in my closet and shutting the door so they couldn't hear me calling, but I didn't know at the time that my mom knew already. So I called her and she just was screaming and crying and she was like, "We're buying plane tickets right now. We're coming." And by 5 a.m. the next morning, they were here.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and I called my cousin because he's like my big brother and he was Jeremy's roommate and just has always been like one of our
Oh,
best. So I immediately called him and he met my dad and I at the hospital when they brought us there. And that whole rest of the night, it's like I remember it, but at the same time, it almost feels like a blur. Like, we showed up at the hospital and there were just blue light
yeah.
everywhere,
Everywhere.
hundreds of officers lined up. At attention and they made a tunnel for us to walk through at the hospital and the hospital like closed the whole bottom wing for us and so we walked in there and I just kept saying I wanted to see him but at the time I didn't know where that he had been shot in the face and so I couldn't so we get there and he's in a body bag with the flag on him and obviously, I can't see him, so they give me some time to kinda just be with him, and then about an hour later, his parents arrived and kind of went through the same thing. They wanted to see him, but they didn't know, and so we all had our time with him, and then the police even took us down with them to the morgue just out of respect to kinda leave him there together for the night. And then we didn't get back home until 4 a.m. um the next morning. And I remember my dad stayed the night with me and I made the mistake of trying to go and sleep in our bed and I just instantly lost it. So I got up and went and laid on the couch and maybe slept like 20 minutes. Like I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
out and then yeah, and by 6 a.m., I was just up for the day. And once I woke up, I kind of just wanted to start telling all our close friends and family because I knew they weren't going to release it yet, but that they would soon. And I wanted people that we care about to hear it from me and not from the news.
Yeah. No, 100%.
But that was definitely rough having to make a dozen. And the tons of my family members and the police department even offered to call people for us, but I really wanted them to hear from me. And it was just
That's
hard.
so strong of you. You have no idea. And I do feel like it's so much more important to come from you than from a stranger. And that's takes a lot of strength for you to have done that.
But yeah, I replay that night a lot in my head, and only because I just really don't. Some people might think I do want to forget it, but it's kind of like that last little bit that I have
Yeah,
to him. And so I feel like that's part of why I keep replaying it. And
yeah,
just even though it was tragic, there was so much good that was coming out of it. Like I truly saw my village of people that showed up for me,
yeah,
and just the way the police department took care of us too.
yeah. The people that were with, the coworkers that were with Jeremy that day, have you been able to talk to them? And have they been able to tell you like stories about Jeremy? I know like when you work with someone, you get really close to them.
Yeah.
And I know that it was probably really hard on them losing their coworker. Have you been able to talk to them? Do you have a relationship with them?
Yeah, they've been amazing. There's so many of them that they would come up to me and introduce themselves by their first name, and I'd be like, "I don't know who you are," but they
I know
say
your
their
last
last
name.
name, and I'm like, "Oh, Jeremy talked about you all the time." But they've found my social media, and some of them have taken me to coffee and have offered to just tell me funny stories about him
I
because
love that so much.
spent as much time with him as I did, basically, and it
Yeah,
has been the best just hearing about how he was in his element. So, yeah.
that's really sweet. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
When Jeremy was shot, was it another officer that took him to the hospital or was it an
Um,
ambulance?
no, it was an ambulance, and almost all of the officers arrived immediately.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and they said that that wasn't even his typical zone that he's normally in, and he always talked about how he hated that zone too, just because of what goes on over there, and so I just think it's so crazy
it is.
where what
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, they were his coworkers were immediately able to get the guy, which I'm also very thankful for because I can't imagine how they felt like one of their brothers being down and they still have to do their job.
Oh, yeah, that gives me the chills. It's just like you never want to get someone more. And I
Yeah,
know they found him that night.
they did. Yeah, almost immediately.
Do you
Um,
know if he is still in jail?
yeah, so the district attorney has kept us pretty updated on everything.
That's
I
good.
know in for a long ride with the trial.
Yes.
He tried to get bail and was denied, which we're thankful for. Um, but we're hoping for a trial early of next year, but
Yeah.
who's to say with our justice system?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
I'm glad that they're keeping you up to date, and I hope and I'm sure it sounds like that a lot of his coworkers and fellow officers show up to the court dates, and
they
that support
were
means everything.
yeah, I was not strong enough to go to the beginning hearings because they showed his
I don't
body
blame you.
and
I
I
don't
just
blame
couldn't do it. So a few of my family members went for me, and Jeremy's dad and sister went, but Roswell sent tons of officers, and I'm thankful that they were there
It
for us.
makes a huge difference, and especially for if there's a jury or a judge or anyone just to know what an amazing person he was and just, like, know the support that's backing him because there's no reason that that person should I don't even wanna say their name, should ever walk a day but
Mhm.
on earth free. So,
Yeah.
that's good to know that you're updated. Um, I'm gonna stay updated as well. So, when you saw him in the hospital, were you alone or was there someone else with you in
Um,
the room?
so when I went, they put us in a separate hospital room, and his body
Mhm.
was one across the hall. So my dad and cousin offered to go with me, but I really wanted to go by myself. So I went in there, but even then, a couple officers just stood in there with me, and they gave me my space and time, but I honestly feel like that part wasn't as hard as I was expecting. I don't know if it's because I couldn't see him, so it didn't feel
Yeah,
real, or
yeah.
but I mean, I cried, but it wasn't, yeah. It I will say the next day when they brought his body from the morgue up to Roswell, I kind of lost it that day, and that's when the screaming hit me and everything, and I don't know what changed from then, or yeah.
Because I feel like you were in a whirlwind that night, you know? You don't even your body and your mind probably didn't even have time to process what was
Yeah.
happening.
That's yeah, people at the funeral kept saying, "I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how you're standing," but like that truly wasn't hard for me. I've always like just been able, I feel like, to get things in order, and that just felt like another business type thing that I had to
Yeah,
get to, and, like I
yeah,
wanted to do it right for him. And so, and then I had so many family members staying with me that you couldn't walk around in our house, so I was hardly alone, and that just made it so much easier to get through, but it really, the hard part was when everybody left and, like,
yeah.
the settled.
I
So,
think that's what a lot of people don't talk about is, like, that the grief comes in waves, and it's 6 months later when the dust settles and everything, it's like, that could be when it hits you the most.
yeah,
And just the smallest thing can, trigger that memory or,
yeah,
an emotion, and
yeah.
you're in your home and everything. And
Mhm.
I can't even imagine, but you being strong is probably exactly what he wanted. And you staying strong for his family is so amazing because they probably needed that too.
Yeah. I truly tell people that it's hard every day, and I really underestimated the toll that grief really, like, I feel like people don't talk about the toll it takes on your body, and not just like, obviously people know it's emotional, but it's like a physical toll too. And every day I just felt exhausted, and I
Yeah.
still to this day do. And I just truly feel like on days where I feel like I can't get out the bed and I still do that, it's God giving me that strength. And I just, at the end of the day, want, when I see Jeremy again, for him to just be as proud of me as I am of him. So,
Ugh, he definitely is. And I'm so glad that he and you got to experience like everything. Like you got to buy the house, you got to get the dog, you got to get married, your families got to see him get his dream job, his dream girl. Like he got to accomplish so much. And that's the beauty of that.
yeah, my dad likes to say that we lived a lot of life in the little bit of time we had
You
together.
did. You
A lot of
did.
people don't get to experience that kind of love and those kinds of things.
At 24, absolutely not. No. Very lucky that you got to experience that deep love at such a young age
Mhm.
and start a life and watch your husband get his dream job and him know that you were about to get your dream job at your dream school and know that you were okay is so important.
Mhm.
When okay, what is something you would want people to know most about Jeremy and why he loved his job and why we know he died doing what he loved the most.
Um, I feel like he would just want people to accept others, and to regardless of your differences, to set them aside and truly love thy neighbor. And I think that's the biggest example he's set for all of us. And yeah, I think he would, obviously, he would not have wanted to leave our family with such a void, but I think that he wouldn't have had it any other way because he, at the end of the day, was keeping people safe. And we just truly don't know what that guy would have done. And there were so many people.
100%. It was a very busy place too.
Yes. And family members of kids that were in that same parking lot that night have found me on social media and have thanked me for Jeremy. And I just think that he truly wouldn't have wanted anything else.
My God. Oh, yeah, because it was like a pickleball
Yeah.
center.
So there were,
And
and there was a sky zone, so trampoline parking
yeah,
for
yeah.
kids. And it wasn't like it was super late in the night. It was
It was
7.
like 7:30 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I read that, I saw, wow, that's probably a busy place,
Yeah.
busy night. Um, yeah, he saved lives 100%. Because whoever that guy was, he was not obviously in the right state of mind.
Right.
So, I take a breath. You are really devoted, keeping Jeremy's memory alive. That's how I found you online, and I'm like, "I can't believe this girl." Like, she is so poised, so beautiful, so strong. They're the cutest couple I've ever seen. Like, I need to meet this girl. You do some things to honor him, and you like to connect with other widows, which I have some to connect you with too. What are some things that you do in Jeremy's honor that you're proud of?
Yeah. Um, Small things would be sipping on a glass of bourbon at least
Wow,
once.
you're doing that for
And I cannot say that I enjoy it, but I do come in here every now and then and just take a small sip, and I just literally can picture him grinning ear to ear as I
him. Like,
try.
you're finally
Yeah.
trying it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And then my family and I are getting tattoos for him in August because his birthday's then. So, and he always wanted a tattoo so bad, and I never would let him get one. And so now I can just picture him
Being like,
laughing. Um, and then the biggest thing I'm kind of doing to honor him, I'm planning a 5K in August. That's in Roswell, and the police department has been helping me plan it along with Tunnels to Towers. Um, and
amazing.
yeah, I'm really excited for it. I just wanted a lighthearted way to get our friends, family, and the community together, to just remember him. And we're going to do it every fourth Saturday in August. So this will be our first one on the 23rd.
I saw that, and I think that's so amazing because you said he loved to work out so much and be healthy and like to get all his coworkers together to
Mhm.
do something to honor him because I know that they want to too. As a police officer myself, like anytime there's something to honor one of our coworkers, we want to be there and like we want to go there. So that'll be something that they'll look forward to every year.
Mhm.
So I think that's incredible that you're doing that. And maybe if I'm off, I'm going to come. Um, if there's someone listening to this podcast and they're struggling with grief, the loss of someone that they love, what is something that you would tell them that helped you get to where you're at today, where you're even able to sit here and share this story with me?
um, I would say, which I know everyone grieves differently, but to, even though you might not want to in the early stages, to surround yourself with your people and let them. I'm not one that will ever ask for help. So my friends and my family that just did things for me, I just had to let them, and that was a really big thing outside of my comfort zone. So my friends that literally would just show up on a random Tuesday to cut my grass, and I finally just started letting
Such
them.
a small thing that's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and the friends that started meal trains and the ones that have said, "Let me take you to dinner," and even though some days I'd rather just be, like, sitting in my grief, I have been so thankful that I've continued to go on vacation and be around my friends and just surround myself, but then I think also knowing your limits is really important because I've had days where I do just need to be by myself, and I've noticed that if I go days on end of just doing things, I feel exhausted, and I just feel a lot better when I take that time to sit and cry, as sad as that may sound, but then I feel a lot lighter after, and yeah, so just knowing your boundaries, but also letting people help where they can.
Yeah, I that's amazing advice because you don't want to ask for help, um, but you need it. But also to know, like, you didn't pressure yourself to go to that court date, and I think that that's important. And you gotta know your limits, and you can't put too much pressure on yourself because you're going through enough as
Mhm.
it is. So, what can we expect from you in the future? Um, I'm sure people are going to start following you after this, or and your stories and Jeremy's stories are circulating on the internet. People are loving getting to know Jeremy and your love story. What could we expect from you in the future?
Um, I do plan on I've started researching IUI to get a sperm donor because Jeremy and I had just made the decision at the beginning of the year to start trying to have a baby. So that has been a dream of mine forever. And it's been something that I've been praying a lot about, and um I just know that Jeremy would 100% still want me to be a mom. And I know a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, and I've already gotten
No
my
one.
a
No one.
little
Don't
bit
listen to
of,
anyone.
I've definitely already heard people's opinions on TikTok, which I fully expected after sharing. But I just I have had this dream forever, and I know that my grief's gonna continue to be heavy, but Jeremy left me with so much love, and I still just have so much hope that this is not the end of my story. And so this path really just feels like a way to honor mine and Jeremy's dream and build the future that we dreamed of. Um, And I definitely don't expect a baby to heal me or heal the brokenness that I continue to carry. But I just truly believe that I have the biggest support system, and that God continues to give me that strength. And Jeremy inspired me with that love to one day pour that into a baby. And so I'm still in the early stages of picking a donor, and it's just something I want to pray about and sit on for a little bit, but I do hope that that's in my cards in the near future.
I think it's beautiful, and I think everyone in your family deserves a grandkid and to have, more abundance of love and legacy, and you're ready to be a mom. You have been ready to be a mom. This isn't just, out of nowhere. Like you said, a baby's not solving your problems, but it's carrying that legacy, and this is what you guys have planned. So I fully support and can't wait to see what happens with you and your life and what comes forward. But you deserve the absolute world, and you have the best guardian angel
Thank you.
surrounding you every single day, smiling. Like I could see his smile in the picture in the back. He just has the
Yeah.
biggest smile. He just is like a teddy bear. He looks like a teddy bear. Um, but where can we follow you online if we want to get to know you or follow your journey?
So I'm not big into Facebook. I took over Jeremy's Facebook, but I'm very Gen Z. So but if you want to friend Jeremy on Facebook, it's Jeremy LaBonte, and I kind of just post updates here and there about him, and I've encouraged our friends and family to share like memories about him or days that they're missing him.
Oh, I
Um
love that.
yeah. Then I have an Instagram. It's Alyssa Caitlin with 3 N's at the end. And then I have TikTok, which is also Alyssa Caitlin, and that's kind of more opening up more about my grief journey and my IUI journey.
I love that you're sharing everything, and I'm so glad I found you. And there's a whole community rallying behind you,
Yes,
behind Jeremy.
I've been amazed by I always knew the Blue family was tight knit, but I didn't know just how much until
Yeah,
all of this happened. But the amount of messages I get from officers all over the world, and they just continue to check on me, and ones I wouldn't expect to, it has just been amazing. Yeah.
it's a family. And if Jeremy's sister ever becomes a cop, you have to let me know. That
Yeah,
is
I will.
so
I was talking to her
cool and
about
amazing.
you.
Oh, God. I don't know if they do it like how we do it here in Chicago, but if she could have his like star number or something would be so cool.
Um, I
So
love.
amazing to carry his legacy. He'd be so proud, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I know you have a busy day. You have been so amazing and sharing your story. I want you to keep me posted and keep all of us posted on court or any upcoming events for Jeremy or his sister becoming a cop or your IUI journey. Like, there's so much exciting things ahead for your future. And I know Jeremy would be so proud that you're sharing his story and being so strong. So I, uh, I
So
try to keep from crying and,
I just feel so
uh,
honored that you reached out to me and gave me the opportunity to share this. And I know your bestie would be proud that you create a platform for people like us to share all this.
I hope so. And I like to believe that they're all together
Yeah.
in heaven and um sharing stories and they have their own, police department up there and they're all still working because they won't stop.
Yes.
But I just thank you so much and stay in touch, please.
I definitely will.
Okay. Be safe.
You too.